grab your drink and sit down. Listen to the podcast of the strange, the old, the pagan, and the Christian overcoming evil. This is the Grizzly Files podcast.
Fascinating, all this smiling you're doing, Wife. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Grizzly Files, where Mrs. Grizzly is
I'm not smiling.
desperately not smiling.
No.
No.
I'm just, not smiling.
Guys, I don't know. No, I know what's going on, but you don't want to know what's going on. It's
I'm
okay.
looking at makeup, clearly.
Obviously. Makeup makes you lose your mind.
Makeup a smile.
God, that was painful. Anyway, welcome, folks. We're not drinking anything more special than cherry Dr. Pepper right now, though it is delicious. And I'm quite happy with it.
That's from my aunt's rum to it or something.
I'd rum to you.
Rum.
Why are we're acting more high right now and we didn't have any alcohol? What is that?
Because I'm not smiling.
No, you're smiling. I feel like that's only funny to us, but we'll re-listen to it and see.
They're probably smiling and laughing.
Yes, as we're literally laughing as the world burns. As this is the episode where we talk a bit about the LA fires.
Yes, it's a lot easier to laugh about when the places are burning when you're not in them.
This is true. Though you have those memes of this is fine and everything burning around them. I like those memes. Very accurate. And I'm sure you've heard ad nauseum all the weirdness about the fires. We're going to take a very interesting angle here. So, hang on, buckle up your pants.
If you're wearing them.
Find your pants. Tell the lady friend to calm down. We got to think. And
she might be wearing a skirt. And she doesn't need pants.
This is going down an awkward angle. Stop it. Wrong stream, or what are we doing? Wrong video.
We don't have that stream.
Thank God. Anyway. We're both chuckling because we just played the new season of Marvel Rivals. And it's Shut Up, Cat. And that is a ridiculous outfit they put Sue Storm in. My God. The only mother on the roster, and they stuffed her in a unitard. That's exciting. Anyway. So, now that we got those giggles out of the way. Why are you looking? Fine, I'll get you a unitard. Just let me know. Well, if you guys are still watching, sorry for that. It's been a long day. But I can laugh about this because I'm Californian and that's my land burning out there. But the people who are there right now mostly are people who deserve to get, like, you know, California needs a nice burning just to push enough people out, cleanse enough land, so that the real Californians can come back. Now, what's interesting is there's a lot of signs that these are not accidental fires. There's a lot of them at the same time. The firefighter department was gutted. DEI agenda was pushed on it. And then things like the reservoir, so like the stuff for the fire hydrants were depleted, so the fire hydrants had no water.
There's also rumors of like the smart housing in California going on.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. That's okay. Motivation.
I'm jumping.
We're talking about the signs that the fires
signs
aren't accidents.
Yes.
The weird media around the fires is also entertaining. Oh, there was other things till my wife distracted me.
I'm sorry.
How dare you, distracting woman?
If I wasn't distracting, I would probably be your wife.
This is true. She has her ways. More ways than one. What they put in this Dr. Pepper? Anyway, hopefully. I doubt there's real cherries in it.
don't know. It says artificially flavored.
Oh yeah.
Cherry naturally and artificial.
No. Yeah, man. But there were other
What
signs.
cherries were?
Oh, the big one too that a lot of people are talking about. There's all those questionable things, and then there's the fact that the insurance companies all pulled their insurance at the same time.
Like 3 months prior or something.
Now,
supposedly.
another important point that's going to come in is a lot of high-profile houses, like actors' houses and buildings in the LA area, have all been burned down.
It's funny how Mel Gibson's house didn't. Yeah.
Mhm.
But he talked about his neighbor's house.
Getting burned. Yes, yes. Now, from what I've seen of the fires and the study of it, is they were largely preventable. If they had had even one of these things not happen, well, except for the insurance companies, if you know what I mean, they would have been able to stop the fires. They weren't massive, they weren't ridiculous, there was a lot of wind, but they were easily preventable. But because they didn't have the water, they didn't have enough firefighters, and they didn't have enough competent firefighters, they weren't able to put out the fires. And so, of course, we could all say, oh, this is all natural. Nah, you know what? If at this point you think all this stuff is just normal, then could you just go to California and get burned in a fire? Like, you have to be an absolute moron at this point to think that all this crap going on in the world is 100% just normal, no weird stuff going on in the background, no weird motivations, no strange powers at be trying to do crap. Like, I have no respect for you. You are just putting your head in the sand. Shut up. Get a life. Actually pay attention. The world is weirder than you expected. I know it's scary. I know you want to be right no matter what. Excuse me, you're covering the mic, woman. And by the way, for all you other people who are wondering, this is the main reason. More even so than like the absurdity of some of the things that reality brings. People are just mad when they're not right. People, especially certain gammas, especially a lot of women who are in the certain group situations, can't handle the concept of being wrong and will fight tooth and nail to be right no matter what reality tells them. And it's a pain in the ass. And it doesn't help that generally the human decision-making process, or rather, shall we say, view of the world, you don't do a narrative switch like that. You can't accept reality. We're emotional creatures. First, you have to have an emotional change.
More emotional or...
Like, before you can have a logical change, you have to emotionally be able to accept that logical change. And this goes for everybody. There are smarter people who can handle that more. The more disconnected you are from a topic, the more likely you are to be able to change your mind on it. But you're less likely to know the facts. So, complications about life. The point is, though I don't know for sure, these fires look very fishy. There's ample signs that people knew about them beforehand. There's ample signs that they were started artificially and were the responses sabotaged so that people couldn't stop them. Now, the question that I know, the skeptics who will be mocked in the next generations, let me tell you, will say is, well, why would they do that? Well, first of all, I don't have to prove motive. I just have to prove that point at the smoke. You know, like, if there's a dead body, I don't have to prove why someone wanted to kill that body when it was a person to prove that a murder happened. There's a body. It's clearly been murdered. Motive might come later. Okay? I'm pointing all these signs that the fire A was clearly preventable with basic stuff. B was known beforehand by insurance companies. And C had active sabotage put in place to stop them from being put out. This is pretty clear at this point. And there's been lots of rumors for previous fires in California and other places that they were, in fact, set on purpose. Just lots of weird stuff. I mean, we're talking, there's videos of helicopters with thermite instead of water. It was really interesting.
Oh, dang, really?
Yeah, that's previous fires, though.
Yeah.
We're under attack by a dog. But I want to get back to the point. Let's also remember that there's a lot of different factions out there in the conspiracy world, if you will. There's lots of different secret organizations and cults and all this other crap. And though they'll often work together, they often have their own motivations for why they do things. This one, I think, is a side motivation that encouraged it.
Mm.
And that is fires have been used in California to cover up large crimes many, many times. And it's one of these easy things because there's so many normal fires in California. It's incredibly easy to just destroy a bunch of evidence in a fire because no one questions fires in California.
Well, especially when you could like just look up the wind. How
You can look at the wind.
you know what I mean?
Gone with the wind. Nobody breaks the wind? What? Actually, I'm not totally sure what you mean because I can't really look at the wind.
Like when you look up what the
Wind patterns.
wind patterns are, and then you could kind of plan ish of when to do a fire and how it would spread.
Sure, if you're trying to make a really big fire.
Like, supposedly...
What's going on now?
The fact that they could trick the wind to do whatever they want.
I haven't... Are you talking about the certain small hats controlling the weather?
Yes.
Well, we don't even have to go that far at this point.
No, you don't, but...
We don't have to go... Well, I mean, it could... There's...
Why is there so much snow going on now?
Well,
and then fires now.
On a side note, I should bring this up sometime. There, back in the 1980s, I believe it was, could have been 90s. There was a program in the to create a plasma railgun. Now
I remember you brought this up.
Now the funny thing about a plasma railgun, you've probably never heard of it before. Hey, Gato. Is when it's fired, it looks exactly like a lightning bolt. Because if you don't know,
me about this. Yes.
Lightning looks like plasma. Well, lightning is plasma, to be fair.
Plasma burst!
So, if you can create a plasma railgun, which creates a superheated plasma, and then uses rails and magnetism to launch the plasma in direction, you can create what looks like a lightning bolt. And thus, if you were to put something like that on an airplane...
Electric lines?
Or electric...
They were complaining that the electric lines were doing something funky when the fire started.
Well, to be fair, I want to be fair on...
With the plasma stuff on there? Lightning bolt! Zippity-doo-dah!
First of all, fire makes electricity do weird things anyway, so that might be just normal. What I was trying to lay out...
Let me stretch this lightning some more.
Is there are various tools that have been made on the books that can make something happen that looks natural.
Fake lightning.
Yeah.
Dang.
So, I mean, imagine you want to get rid of someone but make it look natural, or start a fire somewhere and make it look natural. What better way than have a lightning bolt, or what looks like a lightning bolt, cause it? Now you may say, well, what happened to the super plasma railgun? Well, funny thing, they had really good results in the tests, and then the projects just magically shelved and nobody knows what happened.
They were hiding it.
Yeah, it's very questionable. Positive results, and then shelved for no good reason. No one says why, and no one knows what happened to the device and all that. That's really questionable. Now, I'm not saying they use it in this case, and I don't think they even have to go that crazy. Because there's, enough hobos to blame for the fire. They could have just lit the fires in a couple of different spots and then burned down some specific things they wanted to burn down. Now, I bring this up because of other fires in the past that have been used in California to basically cover up evidence. In this case, we're going all the way back to the Satanic Panic. Ooh! Yes, this is not our first episode on the Satanic Panic. If you guys remember the McMartin preschool case, this is related. Because you see, there's an aspect of the McMartin case that isn't talked about as much. And as we've brought up in the previous episode, I should leave a link in the description.
Mm-hmm.
The McMartin school case was 100% legit, and the kids weren't lying. I have no problem saying that. All the physical evidence lines up with their story, even though the story was crazy. They brought in an archaeologist. He found active tunnels. He found what was clearly tunnels. He found ways to date them and all. Seriously? Yeah. I live in a house. I'm sorry. There's no studio, and there are freaking dogs rolling over on loud toys. Rose. She just got her butt on that.
He's got a musical booty.
Oh, man. Anyway. So, again, we go over that. That was part of the FBI drop a while back, well, a while back. It was a few years, but my goodness. It's funny to me how in the internet years might as well be decades. We're in the misty past. Oh, man. But yes, you can look that up. You can read the archaeologist's report. You can laugh at the psychologist's counter report made in 2002. Yeah, 2002, I think it was. Was it 2009? Right, where he's literally... Because what's funny about that paper is the guy's not smart enough to understand what the archaeologist is saying. And the archaeologist
because it's not his field.
brings up every point that this dude came up with and countered it before the dude could even write his paper. But because he had no reading comprehension about the archaeologist's report, he didn't know that. And he walked into every single defense the archaeologist had already put up. But also because people are idiots and just... an archaeologist brings up a professional paper where he outlines the fact that he's found clear signs of tunnels underneath this preschool. Right? Mm-hmm. Clear signs of where the tunnels were that matched the story the kids said, went to the spots where they said, clear artifacts that actually showed, thanks dog, that there were satanic stuff going on, artifacts that showed dating, there was a bag with a date on it, and all this other stuff. Clear signs that humans had to have made it because there was a root system that was cut through. And it was cut through with a saw. It wasn't cut through with like teeth and whatnot. You know how jagged that is. It was cut straight through like with a hacksaw.
Oh, wow. Right.
So clear signs that humans made it. Clear signs that it wasn't a rubbish pile and all this other stuff. And I say all that because part of the story was that the kids would be taken off the premises during the preschool hours, and because they knew when the parents would be back to pick them up, they knew when they had to bring them back. Talk about perfect alibi in that case too, right? Oh, who's right? And so they would take them to the tunnels to a nearby house, and then they would take them to a nearby airfield. I know, right? That's where you think they're jumping the shark, but I remind you, all the physical evidence lines up with this testimony. Then they were taken to a church that had a tunnel system that went to a mansion where elites partied, owned by a Dr. Atkinson. And there's not a lot of information on him on the internet. I think it's been scrubbed a bit. I need to check more on that. But he had a relationship with certain cultic figures, some weird Eastern cultic palace thing up in the hills as well. Oh, nice. And a lot of elites from the Los Angeles area, which includes lots of athletes and actors and the usual freaks.
So is that why all their houses finally burned down?
Hey!
Oh, sorry.
I'm building the case here. You jump to the conclusion. The proposed oh my god. And then that thing chimes again. I'm going to murder it. I don't care if it's my son's favorite toy.
I'm so sorry.
Everyone's like, hey, you're building up this great conclusion. Why don't I... And again, it's a hypothesis. I can't prove it, but it seems highly questionable. We'll get to it. Basically, this house became a focal point for a lot of different crap, and it seems like, if I can stretch just a little, an Epstein Island situation, but a mansion. And funny enough, right when the McMartin school case came up and the allegations were starting to fly, conveniently, right into the next year, this mansion just mysteriously burns down. No one ever found out how the fire started or why it started or why they couldn't put it out in time. It's a big old building and all this other crap. There's only like one tower and some storerooms left over. There was a really weird video where like people were trespassing and like kind of figuring it out, and they run into a hooded figure who threw an upside down cross at them and had a small child up on the tower. And by the time they got up there to check, he wasn't there anymore. And they didn't see him leave the tower, and there was only one way into the tower.
Oh my.
Which, rumors that there were, again, right, tunnels under it. And I remind you, the people who brought up the story of the tunnels, their story matched up under the preschool. But of course, no one ever checked for tunnels under this place. The funny thing is, there's even more precedence for these tunnels because supposedly they were made during Prohibition to smuggle booze.
How
and
convenient.
then were used for these other practices.
How convenient.
And would explain why the tunnels were there in the first place. And why people in that area might be prone to using tunnels to hide their nefarious deeds. And don't sit there and try to tell me there weren't Prohibition-era tunnels. There were a ton of that shit. So shut up. It's amazing to me that you can bring up all the physical evidence in the world. You can have an actual archaeologist tell you that there are tunnels there and all this other crap, and you'll still have people either deny it or just ignore it. Like this satanic panic. Every time I look into a satanic panic case, I discover that, in fact, no, there was weird satanic ritual abuse and usually a murder involved. Every single time. There's a reason why those guys all went to jail. There's a reason why this Martin case was so big and such a big deal. And obnoxiously, you still have all these people who want to view the satanic panic as just a bunch of Christians going, ah!
What was me?
Ironically,
it's not all about you guys.
See, that was the narrative, but ironically, the narrative actually started that women are hysterical and can't... and we're feeling guilty as a whole, and so went nuts and just declared Satanism everywhere.
What the?
That's right. Feminism.
Are you what modern day feminism is?
Paganism?
I'm a witch.
This is true.
This is my menstruation blood.
There
Look
you
what
go.
I can do.
Mask off. Anyway. So, what does this have to do with the modern fires? Well, again, Trump's getting back in office. Now, I'm not saying, he's an animal in his own way. I'm not saying the big, huge changes are necessarily coming, but you're having a big political shift. And suddenly, there might be a lot of people in that area who have a lot of, evidence, like maybe secret rooms and other things in those rooms that they might want to get rid of all of a sudden. And what better way to do it than with a massive fire? Now, come on. How many times have these big movie star buildings gone up in smoke and flames? Like, these people could pay a lot of money to get people to help put out fires and whatnot, right? It's kind of... But they push the DEI agenda. Now, don't get me wrong, right? DEI is crap wherever you put it, but it's also been actively used as a sabotage tool. Certain Chinese and other groups have actively put it into media and whatnot. They've bribed, pushed, conjured, and whatnot these diversity stuff into things like video games and comic books and have actively destroyed them. And hilariously, we brought up Marvel Rivals, make a video game or something in that same genre that doesn't have DEI and instantly corner the market.
And it's way better than...
And it is totally on purpose, and it's brilliant. I can't help but find it's brilliant. So, if they use the DEI to actively destroy the firefighter department, when it doesn't seem to be, though it is done in other places, not to the same extent that they did it in California, I find it fascinating. Now, don't get me wrong, there's been lots of build up to this. They've been refusing to do controlled burns, but as I pointed out, this was not, as it started, that bad of a fire. If they had had water in their fire hydrants, I mean, come on, I don't care how DEI you are. No water in the fucking fire hydrants? Are you serious? Come on! Like, even when I grew up in Latin America, they could get water to their darn fire trucks.
That's true.
Like, okay, that's beyond just diversity. Okay, that is active sabotage. So somebody wanted this all to burn. Now, I suspect there's also lots of stuff. My wife brought up the potential that they want to wipe everything out, buy it, and change the land and change the people there. It's very possible. Don't get me wrong. But again,
My question
You
is then what people and what?
Yeah. Now, I also brought up another theory with my wife that there's certain forces that want this land desolate. Now, that sounds weird, but you got to remember.
But does it though?
You got to remember, as we brought up in our supernatural one, which was last week's episode, it's the supernatural mountains. There's certain superstition mountains that there are certain pagan groups and an ancient evil connected to straight up wild, desolate places, right? That's why Jesus Christ went out into the desolate place, into the fortress of the devil to be tempted, all right? The extreme wilderness before being changed into the Garden of Eden. There's like a cosmic, ancient chaos. It's that thing about nature that'll murder you, if you know what I mean. You know, there's a beauty of nature. The way I've described it in the past is you're walking through the mountains, you see the beautiful landscape, it's like you hear birds chirping, it's wonderful, it's gorgeous, you praise God, and then you hear the snort of a grizzly behind you.
Yeah, like, oh shit.
Right. Good feelings gone. That's the point, right? It's beautiful. God made something good, but it's not perfect. It'll give you a disease that'll make you poop out your innards until you die. It's disgusting. But it's fairly common. And by fairly common, whenever you hear dysentery, that's what dysentery is. You poop till you die. It's horrible.
Ew.
Yeah.
What horrible.
Yeah. Not fun. And so, there could very well be a motivational force trying to reclaim most of the California area into a large wilderness pagan area. Now, that would be more of a cosmic level evil, you know, the whatever thing is on the top of the superstition mountains kind of thing.
Churches, the way they are now, oh, they're not ready.
Mm-mm.
They're not
ready for that kind of fight. But that could be another motivating factor. And again, all of these things or none of these things could be the motivation for starting these fires. Because just because there's a group of shady actors who have allowed certain things to happen on their properties that they want to hide, right? Probably certain sexual things, I might add, that they've been blackmailed with or whatnot, and might want all that to conveniently disappear, right? Those guys may want their houses gone. You may also have those groups of witches and people influenced by those powers that want this land reclaimed by nature, so that Mother Nature, that Mother Chaos of old, can reclaim it and have more power in the area. And they can put their weird statues up in random groves and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Right?
If you want to be a tree hugger, that's fine, but do it far away from me.
And that
tree hugger has a whole new meaning these days.
That's not to say conservation's bad. It's
constipation reasons.
There's a difference between allowing wilderness to own you and owning the wilderness. Anyway, so
hashtag grow your own damn garden.
Yeah. Then, of course, there can be another faction that wants to replace everything with strange homes and like big apartment complexes that put everyone in little boxes and all this crap and whatnot, right? all these factions could all want different things and being pushed towards the same goal. And you say, well, how does that work? Well, funny enough, if you have a bother to listen to certain well-known Satanists, cultic figures, in this case, Jordan Peterson, very cultic weirdo. He describes his dreams, which I don't recommend listening to too many of these because they get weird as hell and very sexual. And
oh gosh,
don't get me started. There's a reason why I could never finish his books when I thought he was a... Ugh, don't want to get in there. Anyway, if you bark dog, I will murder you. Anyway, one dream though that did stick out to me that's useful is basically a depiction of how this all works. And he talked about how there's this great field, and there was a bunch of pyramids with one eye on top of them, and all these people trying to fight up the hierarchies and killing each other to get up to the top of the pyramid with the eye, and then there was one eye on top of it all, watching it all happen. That's the hierarchy. You have your pagan witches, various types. You have your native witches, the skinwalker and all that other freaks, right? You have your... Hinduisms and your random snake gods and crap and Buddhisms and stuff, and the Shinto and all this stuff, the ancient shaman stuff that's still alive in Russia, Siberia, very specifically. Your various utopias, eugenic groups that are in various government fields, mostly also in vaccines and all that, if you will, right? All these different factions that have very different goals are all on their own hierarchies, sometimes in competition to each other, but they're all under that one eye that pushes them all in the same direction. They can all compete and kill each other, but they all listen to the big baddie at the top. The old red dragon, as the Bible calls him. The great rebel himself, Satan the bitch.
he sure whines like one.
You growl at that bitch. And to be clear, Revelation makes it very clear what's going to happen, and those fires are going to be far more intense and make these fires that are going on right now just look like child's play. Be much more like those fires in Hawaii, but 10 times worse. Another reason why I think these fires were self-started is, though they were intense, they weren't actually that bad. They were only uncontrollable because they didn't have the water and the proper firefighting and everything ready to go. That was it. That was all. So, this one's more of a theory than most of the other ones.
I'm so relaxed.
Yep. But you should be thinking about things when you're looking at modern events and wondering what you're not being told. Because the media always lies. Sometimes they lie about the stupidest things that don't matter. But because they're addicted to lying, they're always going to be lying about something. And these fires, though, again, like I said, they've been not doing their controlled burns and all this other stuff. These fires aren't just natural. Some of them may eventually be actual punishments from God. It's very possible. But right now, I think they are doing these fires for specific reasons. We also see signs with hurricanes and whatnot. Like, remember how they basically refused to help people during the Helene hurricane and whatnot, and all this other crap. Mm-hmm. Signs that they're trying to force people back onto cities or force people to lose their land and their houses and all the rest. And you say, well, what's the point of that? Again, there could be many different reasons, all of them related to what we talked about.
Chaos wants to control something.
The land, and they don't want to stop people from spreading out and making their own communities outside their control. Yep. And yeah, but you don't need to be afraid. God's got this, and this is them panicking, flailing, freaking out because they weren't able to conquer China and they weren't able to take Russia. Russia rebuilt itself. They were mad about that. They wanted to take over China, and China basically flipped them on their head, stole all their stuff, and killed all of their agents. It was really funny. Not saying either of those nations are saints, but then is there a saint nation out there? I'll accept the ones that at least keep the lights on of civilization.
At least gives you indoor plumbing.
Yep. And as a true Californian,
Because if you have syphilis, you might want it. Sorry.
And as a true Californian, I will drink to the burning of my enemies and to one day returning and rebuilding on their ashes. As you should, from wherever you're from. How long has this recording been anyway?
I don't know, but it's fun.
It's been 35 minutes.
That's it?
Felt longer. It'd be my shortest episode if we stopped here. It's because we had less tangents than normal. Usually we're tangentizing.
Because I'm not smiling.
Really not smiling.
I'm not smiling.
Oh, man. But yeah. It's funny. It'll be interesting to see if any of this stuff properly comes to light, or if they manage to destroy enough evidence or cover it enough up in the history books enough. Though they never can cover enough up. There's still, to this day, find random archaeological digs, oh boy, in Europe, where like there'll be a castle and they'll find, son, can you go to sleep? They'll find like a secret torture room or this weird place where there was a bunch of bones that they were hiding bodies and all this stuff in certain castles with certain cultic figures and whatnot.
Oh, the fire wasn't hot enough.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting to
Let's expand it some more.
I believe, I forget. This is the problem bringing things up that you didn't.
Was it in Belgium or something?
Well, you didn't. That's the Mother of Darkness castle. We don't need to talk about that right now.
No.
And that's more of a modern thing anyway.
Okay.
That's related to the Belgium Epstein case, if you will.
Yep.
Epstein-like case, I should say. What I was trying to say was there's signs of cultic behavior all for, like, I forget what it was, and I'm mad I don't remember, but it was like some kind of temple discovered, like a Messianic temple discovered like around the British Parliament or something like that.
Oh, wow. Again, not surprising, but wow.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember what that was, and I don't want to give a bunch of details. Like, it's not a podcast. I mean, it is podcasting. It's not a live stream. I don't have an excuse, but I didn't think I was going to have to bring that up, so I didn't have my notes for it. Anyway, this has been fun. Hope you guys enjoyed the wild theories and the spitballing and whatnot. And, maybe I'll get to heaven and God will say, well, those were actually normal fires. And I'll point to the other fires and say, no, those were definitely on purpose. And, But regardless, the fires are fishy. Always question. And don't let them get rid of all the evidence if you can stop them. But don't kill yourself trying to stop them either, because they're already failing.
Don't be a dumbass casualty.
Don't be a dumbass. You're a dumbass.
Take the facts, you're a dumbass.
Take the positivity to know that the devil's empire right now is burning. Just enjoy it. And also make a garden so you don't starve in the process. This has been the Grizzly File.
I mean, seriously, you could use some of that stuff to change the soil and flourish. Garden.
You made like hand motions for an explosion in my mind.
Flourish.
Woo!
I mean, fires flourish.
Oh, I just realized I have an outro already.
Yeah, you do, but
I keep forgetting we have that. Anyway, this is the Grizzly out. You want to say bye?
Bye.
She's smiling now.
Totally smiling.
Thanks for watching another episode of the Grizzly Files. New episodes come up every Saturday at 5 p.m., so make sure to come back for that. We also have a Sunday school lessons for young men called The Warrior's Path. New lessons go up every single Sunday at 9:30 in the morning in written form, and then on arcade.com, and then we'll do a live stream going over it the next day on every Monday at 10 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. depending on when my kids go to bed. We also have another live stream on Fridays, which is our Grizzly gaming stream. It's a good time to hang out and talk games and all kinds of crazy crap. That one, again, will start at 10 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. depending on when my kids go to bed. We also have a kids book that you guys should check out. It's called David and the Three Bears. It's up on Amazon. It's like if you made the story about King David as a kid when he's attacking bears and things into a fable. Yeah, that's all. Come back for more. We're going to be making more content as we go. So like, subscribe, share. Come back for it all. Can't wait to see you there.